If it matters to you, it matters to us. Call Tip today on 1-800-938-007.
Now, glad to be joined by our sports editor, Paul Carroll, from our Nina studio. Good morning to you, Paul.
Morning, Fran. How are you?
Good to talk to you today. Sadly, we don't have as much time as we usually have to talk about sport, but we have to talk about that loss to Cork in the National Hurling League. Paul, a lot of talking points about that game.
Loads, Fran, yeah. Finished up 29 points to 22. Kind of a back and forth game in the first half. A lot of good scores from range, and both teams kind of hurling fairly well. And then just about a minute or two before half time, a bit of pushing and shoving started, and all 30 players jumped in there, and it was a bit, you know, it was one of those things that you often hear commentators say, oh, we'd never like to see this.
Yeah,
and usually we do like to see a bit of that, but it went on for about 4 or 5 minutes, which is what no one kind of wants to see. And after it all, Liam Gordon and his officials decided Jason Ford and Shane Barrett should get straight red cards. So then he blew it up for half time. So the second half was 14-14, and both teams kind of, you know, dropped an extra man back, and there's a lot of easy puck outs for both sides, just out to the corner back and working it up that way. And it all had a very much a challenge match almost kind of feel to that second half. But Tip did hang in there. They got it back to 3 points, but Cork finished that little bit stronger to get the last 3 or 4 scores to win by 7. So it's the first loss of the year for Tipperary. But, you know, I don't think either Liam Cahill or Ben O'Connor are going to lose too much sleep over the game. And for Tipperary and for Cork, it's the end of 3 games in 3 weeks. So I'm sure they'll try their best to re-heal and reset after the week. But loads of talking points, Fran. Those red cards, you had Johnny Ryan's black card on the 17th minute, which, you know, the black card is for, you know, deliberate fouls that stop a goal scoring opportunity. That didn't really seem deliberate. So he was unfortunate there, Johnny Ryan. But good notes from Tipperary. Young Cahill O'Reilly, still only a teenager, under 20 this year and next year. He's played all 3 league games for Tipperary so far this year. Even got a point the other night in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. So it's a huge plus for him to be able to you know, experience this level. 31,000 people there at 19 years of age was a big day for him.
Fantastic. So. Yeah, a lot of our listeners looking for your opinion. And in fact, when I said earlier you were coming on, we had a lot of text about it. What you made of the hostility, I suppose, and the booing and the like. Was a lot to do with the fact that, you know, it was a replay of the All-Ireland, and, you know, you were in the cauldron that was Páirc Uí Chaoimh and the like. Did that play into it, Paul?
Yeah, I suppose you're not going to expect a guard of honour really from the supporters coming out or anything like that. But yes. Darren McCarthy was on the receiving end of most of the hostility. Yeah. When he was being introduced as a substitution on the PA, just boos rang out around Páirc Uí Chaoimh. And then when he was standing over the freeze he was taking, it was the same. So, you know, that's something that I certainly don't like to see, and I wouldn't like to see Tipperary supporters booing a Cork player coming onto the field. You know, we're all GA people at the end of the day, and there is an element of the pantomime villain, and Darren McCarthy got sent off against Cork last year, and, you know, he scored 113 in the All-Ireland final against them, so a bit of booing that way. But while there is an element of pantomime to it too, there's probably an element of nastiness in some quarters as well. And, you know, that should be called out. I don't think that's what genuine hurling people want. So, you know, for Darren McCarthy, he's a very level-headed young lad, and I'm sure it's water off a duck's back to him. But it's just something that I wouldn't like to see. And, you know, like it's happened in Tipperary games before. I'm not saying it's just Cork or anything like that, but booing the opposition or jeering and things like that, it's never something I enjoy, and Darren McCarthy was certainly on the receiving end of it there on Saturday
night. For sure. Liam Cahill was his usual diplomatic, calm self afterwards, though.
Yeah, brilliant, isn't he? He just kind of played it down and just brushed it off really well. So, but Ben O'Connor, the Cork manager, is a kind of box office in terms of his post-match interviews. You know, that strong Cork accent he has as well really adds to it, and he certainly gave his opinion about and a lot of things on the full-time whistle. So he's going to provide a lot of entertainment. Whether that's a good thing or bad thing for Cork, I'm not too sure, because they're probably going to be the headline story regardless of what their manager comes out says. And he might add a bit of fuel to a fire. He might want to add fuel to with some of his comments, but I would certainly encourage him to stay going, because it's certainly great entertainment, and he's a great kind of hurling man. Anyway,
sure,
we're going to get our entertainment out of him.
One of the other big sporting stories was Ireland's Six Nations campaign. Off to a tough start, to say the least. A lot of critique about the team over the last couple of days.
Yeah, it was a shocking weekend for Irish rugby. Really, you had obviously the loss to France 36-14. Was never really a game. Ireland got back into it in the second half, but that was after France had taken off nearly all their best players, or certainly some of them anyway, and Dupont and the likes. Then the Ireland A's were well beaten by England on Friday, and that's the kind of Ireland's second team against the England second team. Good note there was Brian Gleeson getting a try and getting one disallowed from Lockmore, and Diarmuid Barron come on as well. Then the Ireland under-20s were well bet as well during the weekend against France, 50-21. Lots of Tipperary involvement there. Billy Hayes from Roscrea, Joe Finn from Ballina, Tom Wood, of course, from
Tip FM has been informed of the...
after pressing a button there, I shouldn't have, Fran. I'm not sure if that came through on your end.
It did, but it added to the atmosphere of it, Paul. No problem. Yeah, it's interesting. And is it the style of rugby that we're playing, or is it down to...
I think one of the big things, Fran, is Ireland won the under-20s Six Nations in 2023. Brian Gleeson was on that team, and they beat France to win the Grand Slam. And Sam Prendergast and Gus McCarthy are the only two players that have played senior for Ireland since then, whereas for France they have 5 or 6 lads from that team of 3 years ago that are mainstays in the French team, no more so than Louis Bielbiere, who's just a try-scoring machine and got 2 against Ireland. So that is an issue. Ireland's team is ageing, and the time is nearly coming now to just not just throw in the young lads, but really start developing and looking to the future. There's a lot of good, talented underage players there throughout Munster and Leinster and Connacht and Ulster as well, but it's just about getting these lads game time, because the World Cup is coming around next year, and if you have an ageing team like we do now, you could be at a thing called nothing.
And management, Paul, is that...
Andy Farrell has done really well when he's been with Ireland. They're going to be in for a bit of criticism given the how they played against France, and just the game plan. It was very much, we'll kick it and we'll hope that they'll drop it. Really, we'll boot it down the field and hope that they make a mistake in the difficult conditions, or we'll try and contest it in the air. But we didn't win anything in the air, so you kind of felt like there had to be some sort of plan B. One thing that always I'm really jealous of watching France is they have so much flair players, where if a ball breaks to a lad out in the wing, he just has that little bit of X factor to make something happen, where Ireland are almost regimented in terms of their play style, and just I don't want to oversimplify it, but just by booting it long a lot of the time, it's not.
And is that because, as you know, this ain't my thing, Paul, but is that because of available talent, or is it about ethos or something? Is it
more so ethos, I'd say, because you do see other teams with maybe quote unquote less talent who still play that kind of brand of rugby, whether it's good or bad. So it's been successful for Ireland down through the years, that up and under and box kicking, and it's a big part of rugby now. And France made a lot of kicks as well last week. I think they box kicked it just as much as Ireland on Thursday evening. But when it goes wrong, it just doesn't look good. You're kicking the ball away, you're down, you're down in the game with 20 minutes to go. You kind of need to make something happen through the hands, and you're just booting the ball away to the other team. So it's something that you'd like to see Ireland maybe develop. And but there was some good things as well, like Ireland's set pieces, lineouts and all that actually were really good, which is something we've struggled with in recent times. So maybe it's just France are really good and we're in a bit of a transitional period at the minute, but time will tell on that.
For sure. I only have a little while left, but in terms of what we should look forward to in the coming week or so, Paul?
Yeah, and just want to mention the Clonmel High School on Saturday, Fran, an unbelievable nearly an unbelievable comeback against Tralee CBS, down 12 points at the start of the second half, had it back to 3 points in the Munster Under-19A football final, and were beaten for a finish 2-19 to 1-13. So that was a tough defeat, but they really put up a good show, Clonmel High School in Mallow on Saturday. But looking ahead, Fran, darts, Nina Stephen Rosney in action today, tomorrow and Wednesday on the PDC Pro Tour, so his first Players' Championship action. We've the Fitzgibbon Cup final, loads of Tipperary involvement there. The Sigerson Cup final, UL have an awful lot of Tipperary players. That's on Wednesday, the Fitzgibbon Cup final, with Tip players on both sides of the teams, UL and Mary I, on Friday evening. The Tip footballers are back next Sunday against Carlow. The Tip Camogie team are back next Saturday up in Antrim. First game under new manager James Heffernan. And Abbey CBS are in the Munster B Schools football final. That's on Friday. So, as always, Fran, particularly around this time of year, loads to look forward to when it comes to sport in Tipperary.
Great stuff. Paul, thanks very much for that. Thanks, Paul.
Thanks,
Good morning. Good morning to you. That's our sports editor, Paul Carroll, from our Nina desk this morning. And, of course, don't forget, tonight, after 7 o'clock, extra time with all of the sporting detail with Ronan and the team there. And that's it for me. Leanne produced. Ali looks after content. Stephen has the time tunnel on the lunchtime show. And I'll talk to you tomorrow. Do look after yourselves, won't you? Bye-bye.
Tip FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, Puck On. Main Peugeot dealers in the Premier County. And now stocking the full range of the luxury French car brand DS Automobiles. Book your test drive today with Slattery's Garage, Puck On. See slatterysgarage.ie.